goals, passions, dreams. My guests will help inspire you to find your true calling. They will be sharing their success stories as well as their journey. So watch me on Trending with Suyo. Hi everyone, welcome to Trending with Suyo. I am your host Suyo, and today we have two special guests with me today. Very familiar faces, you guys know them very well. Here they are, Siva from Divine Method and Nila from Beauty by Nila. Hi guys.
Hey, Suyo.
Thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having us.
No problem. So, like I said, everybody knows you guys very well. You guys are very popular, not only in our Tamil community, but actually around the world. Nila, you've been selling your products now. You have your own product line, and you've been selling them all over the world. How is that going?
Really well, actually.
Yeah. And Divine Method, our favorite photographer, well known. Everybody actually wants to be like you. I actually seen Instagram pages where they're just like, oh my gosh, I hope Siva responds to us one day. Our target is to become like him. And they're just like, I come across that all the time. How do you feel when you see something like that?
It's very humbling, and I feel blessed to be in a position where I'm at. And it feels really good to be able to turn around and give back to that community. So I feel humbled, and it's a great feeling.
Yeah. So since, like I said, everybody already knows you guys very well, I wanted to do something a little bit different with you guys. I wanted to talk to you guys about your personal lives since you guys are such a busy couple. First of all, let's go back. How did you guys first meet?
So there's two versions of the story. One that she can tell you and one that I can tell you. Do you want to go first?
No, it's okay.
No, it's all right. So I actually met her at a photo shoot, and this was for the first ever OM editorial shoot. OM, right? Mm-hmm. Was it? Yeah, first ever OM editorial shoot, almost 10 years ago now. Mm-hmm. And
exactly 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly 10 years ago. And so I was there as a photographer. She was there as a model.
Really?
And we started talking afterwards, and it kind of led to 6 months of me actually pursuing a girl after a very long time. And I think that happened in June. We met again in February. This was back in the day when MSN was a thing, right? Yeah. There was no Facebook, there's no Instagram to DM her or anything like that. It was
It was on Facebook.
MSN.
Oh yeah, it was first on Facebook and then MSN.
MSN, yeah.
So was she already a makeup artist at that time?
No.
I was modeling at that time.
She was modeling at the time.
Modeling. And did you start the makeup because he's a photographer and you guys thought that it would be a good link, or how did that come about?
It actually just happened almost very organically, very naturally. I've always been into makeup. Like even when I was modeling, I used to enjoy doing makeup as a hobby. After I started dating him, he was a photographer, and I was doing a lot of makeup on his clients just for fun. I wasn't a professional makeup artist. Mm-hmm. It was just brides would come, and I'd not really for weddings at that time. It was a lot of engagement shoots. I'm like, oh, I love to do this. Hey, I'll do your makeup. And one thing led to another, and I started my own business.
Yeah. And it's nice to have a photographer and makeup artist in the same household.
Yeah.
I'm sure it has its pros and cons though.
It does.
Yeah.
The funny thing is everyone thinks we work together very often. Mm-hmm. I find that we have a very different visual voice when it comes to how we do things.
Okay.
So our clientele don't always cross the same path.
Okay.
So my brides are not her brides.
Okay.
And not all the time, which is good in a way because we're not always attached to the hip when we're working.
And as artists, we have our own voice too. So he has a style, I have my style, even as different individuals.
Yeah, which means we butt heads. If I show her a photo and I'm like, "Babe, you like this?" and she'd be like, "No, I don't like this." And even today, I was editing some photos, and she's like. And she would bite her tongue, I'm like, tell me, just let me know what's going on, and then she'll give it to me, and I'm like, no, go away, I don't like it. So yeah, there's that, but then of course she is my biggest critic, and that really does help me grow my business, and I try to be the wind under her wings as well as much as possible. So At least I try.
Now, like, because you guys are so busy, and I know you're always traveling and stuff, right? Even this picture was taken in Iceland, but you went with him for this. But
Yeah.
when you are traveling alone without Nila, like, how do you guys keep that going? Your fire. How do you guys build your relationship around your busy schedule?
So, because most of our business is also at home, when I am home and she is home, we're there 24/7. Most couples, as you know, if they have a 9 to 5,
Right.
they're away from each other for pretty much half the day. Half the day you sleep, third of a day you're sleeping, third of the day you're at work, and then when you come back, you see each other for 4 hours. When we're at home, we get to see each other for a very long time. So it's like a big burst of togetherness to a little burst of me away, and it kind of helps, right? Like they say, the space does make the heart grow fonder. So when I get back or even when I'm having a conversation with her while I'm away, I can feel it, like she's like, oh, I miss you, and I'm like, oh yeah, she finally misses me. 'Cause otherwise, we get to see each other so often, it's like we're right in each other's faces.
Yeah.
So it does sometimes it is nice when I go away, but it doesn't help when I go away for too long. Like I just came back from India, and that was a very long trip, and it was I think, was it 10 days, 13 days on that? Yeah, like that was a little too much.
Normally it's like maximum 4 to 5 days.
Yeah.
So it's,
It's a good, healthy amount of time to
Yeah.
be away, to miss each other.
Right.
Now with our baby, it's like double that, right? So it's like emotionally, it does draw.
Because I think before, majority of the time, we would always travel together
Yeah.
when we do destination stuff, but now with the kids, somebody has to be home.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you guys do you guys have date night, or how do you guys still have your relationship going?
So I think one of the most important things in our relationship is conversation. I think communication and conversation is key. If you can't talk to your partner and say whatever you have in your mind, it kind of makes it difficult. And it's not to say everything was rosy for us, right? Like we've worked on our relationship for the last decade. And so there have been, momentous occasions of change in our life where we go through, okay, this is how I am, this is how she is. We're both very strong personalities as well. So we have our own ways of dealing with things. So when we came together, it was almost like, chipping away at each other's, at least my ego, to kind of let myself go into becoming this person who's willing to work with the way she works. So like I said, conversation is one of the things that I think we're getting better at and polishing into our relationship more so than anything else, because I find that if you can do that, and if you can communicate, then everything else just falls right into place, right? Actions.
It's as simple as, communication, meaning if you haven't seen them for a long time, be like, hey, we haven't spent a lot of time together. Let's spend today together.
Yeah.
And not be like, oh, I don't think I'm going to tell him because I think he has work. It's like, no, just being open and be like, we need date night today, or we need to watch a movie today, or something.
We always find that we make time for our relationship.
Yeah.
Even with our baby, we still find that we make time to do the things that we love, be it watch a movie or talk about something that we enjoy.
Even if it's something small as going for a drive to do groceries, but going somewhere a little bit further just so we get 10 more minutes of spending time together in the car.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give, people that are busy as yourselves, like how to make, their relationship work, and how not to give up having such a busy lifestyle? Because I don't even see my family as much, and I just do like a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
But you guys have different schedules, different timings. Sometimes you guys are not even home at the same time. So what advice would you give other people such as yourselves?
Some of the things that come right to my mind is don't eat alone. Right? Find time for the dinner table as a family, right? I think that's one thing that
It's
we
always
do
our rule. We do meals
religiously
together.
Yeah. We either prep meals together, eat together, or something along the line. We make the small choices in that household together, so it always brings us closer. Like something as small as, okay, what fabric softener we're gonna buy, right? We'll debate on that. It would just bring us closer, just like that. So it's taking the time to involve each other on the small 2 minute, 5 minute, small things always add up in the long end. So that would be my advice to people who are really, really busy. Don't ignore the small details, because that's, at the end of the day, it adds up quite a bit. And of course, the big things, like make time to go to bed together. Like as if you're a family, like there's nothing worse than a wife going to bed and a husband is still working. Like I hate those days when I have them. I try to minimize that as much as possible.
So, but you guys make it look so easily. I'm sure there was the hard times, right?
Absolutely.
So what, like, how did you guys get through the hard times? Has it ever been like where you were like to your bottom, to the low?
100%. Actually, exactly what he was saying right now. We went through months and months and months of, I would go to bed at like, I don't know, 11 p.m. or whatever, and Siva would always come to bed at like 3 a.m. because he would find that he works the best at night, and that took a real toll on our relationship because a lot of, I guess, communication happens in bed too, right? Because we work at home doesn't mean we're always talking to each other at home. Like if Siva has his work time, Siva goes to his office, Siva works, which means he's not always out unless it's like lunchtime or dinner time. He's working. So bedtime is usually our time to unwind, take a shower and like just talk, brush our teeth and have a conversation, like little things that we do. We realize that ignoring those small things that we do together, it really adds up, because I go to bed, I wake up, and then he starts work again the next morning, and there was a huge disconnect.
Or I'll sleep in because I was up until 3 a.m. And then she looks at me going, look at the sloth, right? Like, so it always, like, that's the thing with relationships, right? Like, it's like by the time you're in hot water, it's already boiling. Right? If you look back and you're like, oh man, this has happened, that means you've ignored the small things. And I can sit here and say that right now because I've ignored the small things. Okay. Right? And I think everyone kind of goes through that in any relationship, and to come to that understanding takes a level of maturity to say, okay, you know what, my relationship needs work, and I'm willing to put into it.
And I feel like we hit rock bottom at the moment where I stopped communicating.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why we always say communication is so important, because what happened was, like, so I would work, and I'd be like, okay, cool, I'm just gonna watch a movie, and I started watching movies by myself, and he would work by himself, and then we both missed each other, but we never even told each other we missed each other.
So how did you get out of that? Like when you guys were in it, how did it finally happen where somebody said something?
Constant fights.
Yeah, we were fighting a lot, and we're like, okay, this is not normal. It's not that fights shouldn't happen in a relationship, of course they do, but we were fighting like even like over trivial things, and we're like, something needs to be done. So we sat down and we figured out communication. You just talk about anything and everything. So there's little things like, oh, I don't come to bed because you're always watching a movie. I'm like, well, I'm always watching a movie because you're not coming to bed. Like,
and when communication isn't like if it isn't smooth and the gears are not well oiled, even the smallest mishap throws the whole thing off. So things externally would happen, and it would never really get to our relationship, but we've let those things get to us. I would start to not talk to my wife, but then, talk to other family members or my best friends, the things that I should be telling my wife, right? So we got to a point where, I'm like, okay, forget it. I'm not going to talk to her. I'm just going to figure my life out. And then she was doing the same thing, except she's a quiet person, so she would just kind of...
Naturally, I'm an introverted person, so I don't really talk as much.
So when we got to that point, we're like, okay, you know what? We're either going to figure this out or figure out where our relationship is going to go from here on. Because nothing sucks more than being in a relationship that that you're no longer putting in the work and seeing it die and still be part of it, and have people look at it like, oh my God, Siva and Nila, everything's going great. Right? Nothing is worse than being in the limelight but dying at the same time, right? Like, so we dealt with our things personally, like we dealt with it privately, of course, but the thing is, it's not like we're not immune to that. And I don't think any relationship is immune to a downturn. If you've been in a relationship for 10 years, and so you've been in a very long relationship, so you know how it goes.
Right. So I'm just like, so thankful that you guys both came to that understanding where you're like, okay, something's going wrong, like let's fix it. Because I know that's how relationship dies down when they don't take that step. So I'm so thankful that our favorite couple is like, they made everything go good, and you guys are giving us advice today, But back to your businesses. So what's in future for Divine Method?
I think every year when I start out, I'm so like enamored and bright-eyed about the future, because I feel like every year I feel like, oh wow, this is the year.
Yeah.
I've learned something new. This is when I'm gonna do this or X, Y, Z. So, you know, and that hasn't gone away. And that feeling of excitement and wanting to do something, every year it's been like this new thing, and I've been pursuing that over and over and over again. Every year it's something different, but like I would go through that process, and I would get to the end of it. I'm like, oh great, I learned something. Now look at this new thing that I got. And I would start to pursue that. So over the past, it was about building credibility to my business, being able to show my peers and the community alike that I can actually do the work that I claim I could, right? Garner the awards or whatever to put myself on the map. And now that I managed to do that, thankfully, I now look for my own visual voice as well as my own way of helping the people around me grow and flourish at the same time. So now I'm more focused on my artistry more than just creating something for my peer group or for credibility. So now I'm starting to explore that side of me. I want to build something that I could say, hey, you know what? Siva started his legacy at this time and started building it on his own or his own terms. So that's kind of where I'm going now. I'm very excited for it because it's one of those exploration as an artist that anyone can say, like, it's an amazing feeling to have. So
Do you want your son to be a photographer too?
I want him to be whatever he wants to be.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that he has the opportunity and my wife hates this word, but the privilege and the platform to be able to do whatever he wants to do. And as a parent, I can't wait to provide that.
Right. Okay. And what about you, Nila? What's the future for Beauty by Nila?
The future for Beauty by Nila, well, I don't.
That's the one thing I love about her. I am very much like,
Driven.
I know what I want to do tomorrow, and I know what I want to do 5 years from now. She tends to live on a cloud, and where she just lets serendipity take over.
Just like people say, you wear your heart on your sleeve. I do the same thing with my business.
Yeah.
I do things in a whim. Like the moment I love them, I just do them passionately, and then I don't think about what it's gonna do 10 years. I think from a business perspective, it's terrible.
I don't know. You have great success doing it, babe.
I've just gotten lucky, I guess. I don't know. But if somebody very business-minded was watching this right now, they'd be like, but I just kind of go with the flow at the moment. In terms of my business, I'm thinking as far as just, new product launches and hopefully making my product available abroad, but not only via online. So something where people can try on the products, because I feel like with cosmetics, a lot of it is just touching and feeling the products, and hopefully have that available in studios abroad for people to try.
You're also working on some new products?
I'm also working on some really, really exciting new products, which I'm not going to talk about.
Do you know when we're going to expect to see these new products?
Hopefully by the end of the year.
Okay.
But
that long? I thought we were going to
But it's something that's very, very close to my heart, and I'm very, very excited to bring it out to you guys.
And how can we get your product right now? It's through your website, or?
Yes, in my studio and through my website, and occasionally I like to do pop-up shops around the GTA to make it more accessible for people to get them if they're like on the West End or somewhere else.
A quick question to you. You said you go with the flow with your product line. How did you guys come up with your own line? Like, how did you think of like, okay, let me do this? Because you guys went to India to do all that stuff, right? So
for my products, no. It was,
no.
My products are made in Canada, formulated in Canada.
Okay.
Like everything's like very Canadian. But my product line started, actually, I'm a self-taught makeup artist.
Yeah.
So when I first started, I guess, makeup professionally, I was a hobby makeup artist before and I used to buy products. But when I started professionally, I was in university. I didn't have the same resources to go and start buying products and testing them and didn't have the luxury, but I loved painting, which is where my love for makeup came for. So I started mixing colors. I actually just started buying pigments, like just pure pigments, and I used to start making my own lips colors and my own eyeshadows. And a lot of people are like, Nila, where'd you buy this? I'm like, I made it.
Yeah, right.
But what started as making things for myself, because it was, I guess, more budget friendly for me as a budding artist, came to a point where I'm like, hey, maybe I want to have this available to all of my clients.
Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know your story, actually.
Yes.
I thought you guys went back home and
No,
got
no.
some stuff done. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. That's
Cosmetics is a very tricky industry. You don't want to just outsource it right
I was going to
away.
be like, from
Yeah,
China.
and it's one of those things where it requires a lot of testing and product
Formulating.
development and formulating that you just can't simply go ahead and sell what you test.
Right.
The requirements are very, very hefty. So not something that we can go to India and then just come home to sell. And I
Right.
hope, like there's some Ayurvedic stuff that comes from India that's
Yeah.
really, really good, but like I wouldn't buy
Colored
cosmetics.
cosmetics,
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys so much
No
for being
problem.
here, and thank you for sharing your stories and being very open and honest with us. I hope that the viewers really, feel more at home after hearing you guys and feel better at their relationship as well. So thank you again for being here today. Thank you.
You're very
thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Noel.
Thank you.